Alright, in this video, we're going to go through on 2024 weighted assessment term 2, primary 5 mathematics by from Rosyth School. Okay, so let's get started on the first question. Alright, question 1. Find the missing number in the box. Okay, so you have 280 times 500. Okay, just to recap, right? So for example, if you have 10 times 10, it will become 100 because you have two zeros over here. If you have 100 times 10, it will be 1000, right? Because you have a total of three zeros over here. So now in this case, what if I put 110 times 10,000? Will it have, like, in a way, three places or two places? Because only there's two zeros. So the answer is pretty obvious. It just be 1100. Okay. So in this case over here, you could see that there's a number of zeros and it's actually similar to this. So what you need to do is technically you just need to count the number of zeros over here. But the thing is that in this case, it also multiplies by 5. So in essence, right, what you need to actually look out for is to, in a way, have the three zeros at the end, right? So essentially, these three zeros, 1, 2, 3, is basically, in a way, you can call it as like 1000. And then you have 28 times 5 times 1000. So 28 times 5, if you were to guess it, is actually 140. And then you have 1000 times 1000. And the answer should be 140,000 in this case. So it's actually the option 3 in this case over here. So always try to dissect down, right? So 280 is 228 times 10, and then 500 is just 500, right? Or 5 times 100. So when you break it down, it's actually 28 times 5 times 1000. Okay, because you have three zeros in this sense over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 2. Okay, in a box of apples, 8 of them are red and 12 of them are green. Express the ratio of the number of red apples to the total number of apples in its simplest form. Okay, so you might be thinking, oh, just put, 8 out of 12, right? And I need to simplify. Okay, if I were to simplify, then divide by 4, this should be the same as 4, 3, right? Then you suddenly see, don't have 4, 3. Okay, luckily they didn't put that, which is great. So now the thing is that they want to know the total number of apples to red apples. So that means we already know what's the red apples, but we also want to get the total number of apples. So this is green, right? So this is 8 to 12. So the total is 8 plus 12, which is 20. So red apples to the total, which is T total, right? Which is 8 to 20. And now if you were to simplify it, we can divide it by 4 divided by 4. And this will be 2 to 5. So the answer is number 2. 2 is to 5 in this case. Let's move on to question 3. So in triangle XYZ, the base is XY. Name its height. Okay, so I'm going to just give you a recap on the three different types of triangles. Uh, when you want to calculate the area of a triangle, so number one is a right angle triangle. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Probably the base is at the bottom and the height is either on the left or right. Okay, so this is the height. So the next one is this kind of triangle, right? Where the height, this is the height, okay, and the base is at the bottom. The last one, which usually is a bit, some students have some troubles with it, right? Is this type of triangle where your base is at the bottom, but the height is here. Okay, the dotted lines, because it's perpendicular, right? In this case, all perpendicular. So now we know that in this case, xy is the base. So where is the height? So in this case, if this is the base, right, then the height should be perpendicular, which in this case, if you look at it, this is the perpendicular meeting point, and then this is where you have your height, right? So the answer to this is ZW or WZ, which is 1 over here. So it's WZ. Let's move on to question 4. In the diagram below, ABCD is a square of side 10 cm. Find the area of the shaded triangle. Alright, so we know that each side is 10 cm and 10 cm, right? So the thing is that if this is the area, this is the triangle, right, the shaded part. So first is we need to know where's the base. What's the base? So it's basically 10 minus 3, because we have this whole length minus 3 to get this, and this is basically 7 centimeters. Now the next thing, this is the base lah. Basically this is the base, right? So if you remember, right, for this kind of triangle, you have the middle part as the height, and the bottom is at the base. So we know the base, right, is just inverted. So if I were to invert this, right, I'm going to like resize this. Essentially looks like this, right? The base is here and the height is here. So the height is essentially the middle of this triangle. Middle of this triangle, right? And this is the height. And since we know the height is the one side of the what do you call this? The square is 10 centimeters. Then the height of this triangle is also 10 centimeters. So that means we can calculate half times 10 times 7. Okay. Half times base times height, right? Okay. Let me just make it properly. Half times base 7 times height 10. So we put divide 10 with 2, which will be 7 times 5. And this will give us 35 centimeters square, which is number 3. Let's move on to question 5. A bottle contained 8 over 9 liters of milk. Wilson drank 3/4 of it. How much milk was left? Okay, so common mistake you might be thinking is like common mistake is thinking like, oh, I need to, okay, Wilson drank 3/4, so 8 over 9 times 3 over 4, right? Because you see the word off. No, no, no. So the thing is that when you see 3/4 of a liter, it honestly just says 3/4 of a liter, right? So you don't have to actually multiply, you just need to minus. Okay, so in this case, it is 8. Wait, okay, so let me just erase this. So it is 8 out of 9 liters minus 3 out of 4 liters. Okay, so what is the common multiple between 9 and 4, right? The simplest is you can just times, right? So 9 times 4, 8 times 4, 4 times 9, 3 times 9. So 8 times 4 is 32 out of 36 minus 27 out of 36. So now 32 minus 27 is 5 over 36. And that's the answer. Okay, so question 4 is the answer. So you just need to minus when you have the unit over here, 8, 9 liters, 3/4 liters, right? That's basically it. You just need to minus. No need to times when you see the word off. No need. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 6. Let me scroll down over here. Okay, so question 6. Find the value of 24 plus 6 times 13 minus 9 divided by 3. So first thing first is, if you remember, this is order of operations. Okay, so basically you need to know what you need to do first. So number one is to always have brackets. Number two is to either multiply or divide. And number three is to either plus or minus. And everything from left to right, either way lah. Okay, so first thing is that, do we see any brackets? Yes, we do. So what we need to do is to just do the brackets first. So 24 plus 6 times, what is 13 minus 9? This will give us 4 divided by 3. Okay, so next thing is we need to multiply first. So 6 times 4, so 24 plus, if you remember, 6 times 4 is 24, and then we've divided by 3. So let me put a highlighter so we know that we need to do what first. Okay, now the next one is we need to do the 24 divided by 3, because it still have the plus times or divide. So 24 plus 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, and then we can just do it, the last step, which is addition. So it's 32. So the answer is 32. So always remember this. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 7. Find the missing number in the box. Okay, so we have this question mark and then 4 to 20. So essentially we need to know what happens when our second ratio 4 becomes 20. And this is basically when we multiply by 5. So 4 times 5 will become 20. So that means the other way works, which is divided by 5, which is 4. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. That means the same goes to 15 to this number, which is divided by 5. And in this case, this is 3. So the answer to this question 7 is 3 in this case. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's move on to question 8. Arrange the following fractions from the smallest to the greatest. Okay, so 5, you have 5 over 7, 4 over 9, and half as well, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna do something a little bit different. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, in a way, share with you on how to do this a little bit simpler. Okay, so first we know half is just a middle point, right? So half is just a middle point between two numbers. So this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So 1/2 is basically, in a way, something, it looks something like this, right? You know, half is in the middle point. Okay, so now 4 over 9. So that means we have 1, 2, 3. Let me make this equal, so at least it is something that we can compare. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're gonna do this again to make it 9. All right, something like this. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right, so in this case over here, right, so it's a bit hard for me to grab everything. I'm just gonna move it here, right? So what is half of 9? So if you were to say 9 divided by 2, right, if you were to do the calculation, is 4.5. Okay, so this is 9 half, right, is 4.5. Okay, that means it is here, roughly here. So we have half over here. Then we also have 4 out of 9. That means this 4, if I were to just, put it a circle, 4 over 9 is actually over here. So in this case, is 4 over 9 more than half? No, half is actually more than 4 over 9. Okay, so now we know half is more than 4 over 9. So the next thing is that, how about 5 over 7? Okay, so if I were to have the same range over here, right? Okay, and then I have 1 and I have 7. So the middle point roughly is, I would say, 3.5. Okay, so it's basically 7 is just no 2. So I would say this 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give me a second. So in a way, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right? So you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And 5 essentially is over here. So I'm gonna put another color, maybe a highlighter instead. And then I'm gonna put green. So 5 over 7 is actually here, right? So in a way, 5, this is 5 over 7, and this is 4 over 9. So you can see which one is the bigger one, 5 over 7. So that means the greatest one is 5 over 7. And which one is a smaller one? In this case is the 4 over 9. So we can put here 4 over 9, right? And then we have half in the middle. So in a way, if you can kind of visualize how fractions are look like, then actually this is a quite a straightforward kind of thing. Another way is to generally what you do is to make all of the denominators the same, right? In this case over here, right? So this is a little bit more calculation, but what we can do is we can just do this 7 and 9 common multiple first, because half is easier to calculate. So 7 times 9, 5 over 7 is equal to 45 over 63, because we multiply by 9 in this case. And then 4 over 9 over here, we multiply by 7. Okay, 7. Then this will be 28 out of 63. So half of like 63. So half to 63 is roughly around, you could say 30 lah, right? Because this is just a rough estimate, right? 31.5 out of 63. So in essence, right, you could see that it's also the same result. Like you know that 4 over 9 is 28 out of 63, which is smaller than half, which is 31.5 out of 63, which is technically kind of wrong, but you could see that comparing to this, you will see that half is in the middle, 28. What do you call this? 28 is smaller, and 45, 63 is the larger one, right? So there's many ways to solve this, but if you're able to solve it, like I think I rather have this, so because I understand that this can help me visualize a lot more. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 9. So rectangle ABCD is made out of 5 identical rectangles. Find the area of the shaded triangle. Okay, so in this case, this is to recap again. We have a triangle that looks like this. Whoops, I don't know why. Okay, so like that, right? And then it looks a bit like this, right? Or I can just draw like this. Okay, something like this, right? And then usually you have, this is your base, and then dot dot dot, and then you have your height. Okay, so once we know the height and base, we actually can get the area of the shaded triangle. So we know that in this let me do this over here. We know that this is the triangle that we're looking for. So straight and straight, straight over here. Okay, so we know that this side is the base. Okay, pretty straightforward. So since these are identical rectangles, then there is two lines, one and two lines over here. That means the base in itself, right, is actually 3 centimeter plus 3 centimeter, which is in this case 6 centimeter, right? 6 centimeter for the base, right? So the base is equal to 6 centimeter. Okay, then what about the height? Okay, so for the height, since we know that the height is the dotted line perpendicular to the base itself, which is this. So this is the height. Okay, so the height is actually 8 centimeters. So the area of the triangle is just half times base, which is 6, times height, which is 8. And now if you were to calculate, this will be, this will be 3, right? So 3 times 8, 24 centimeter square. So the answer is 24 centimeter square in this case over here. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's move on to question 10. So the lengths of 3 ribbons are ratio 2 is to 3 is to 4. The total length of 3 ribbons is 126 centimeter. So what's the length of the shortest ribbon? Okay, so you have 2 is to 3 is to 4. So the total units, I'm just going to put here units, is equal to 2 plus 3 plus 4. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 9. So total length is equal to 1 to 6. Then 1, so 9 units is equal to 1 to 6. 1 unit is equal to 1 to 6 divided by 9. So if we were to put 1 to 6 divided by 9, then this will give us 9, 36. 36 is, so 9 is 1. 36 is multiple of 4. Okay, this will give us 0. So 14. So now what is the shortest length? Shortest length is in this case 2. So that means 2 units is equal to 14 times 2, which is equal to 28. So the answer is 28 centimeters in this case. Let's move on to question 11. Find the product of 5 and 6. So product, always remember, product is multiply. Okay, so 5 over 6 times 8 over 5. Express your answer as a mixed number in the simplest form. Okay, so we can simplify 5 and 5. This will be 1. Then 8 times 6. Then this will be, we divide by 2. So divide by 2 in this case. Divide by 2 in this case. So 8 will become 4. And then 6 will become 3. So 4 over 3. And then you want to do a mixed number. So 4, if you were to just have 4 divided by 3, 3, 1, remainder 1. So 1, remainder 1. The quotient, this will be the whole number 1. Quotient will be the whole number. And then the remainder will be the numerator. Okay, the answer is 1, 1 over 3. So this is what we call a mixed number, 1, 1 over 3. All right. Okay, let's move on to question 12. So Ali bought some cookies. He ate 1/4 of them on Monday and 1/6 of them on Tuesday. He ate 9 more cookies on Monday and Tuesday. How many cookies did Ali buy together? All right. So first is that we know Monday he ate 1/4 of it, and then Tuesday he ate 1/6 of it as well. All right. So in essence, we can in a way have the common denominator. So 1/4, what's the common, I would say, multiple, smallest common multiple? So it's actually like if you do 4, it will be 4, 8, 12, 6 will be 6 and 12, right? So 12 is the smallest common multiple. So we multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. So this will give us 3 over 12, and this will give us 2 over 12, right? Okay, so next thing is we only want to look at the, in a way, numerator in this case. So the numerator is 3 and the numerator here is 2. So that means he ate 3 units and Tuesday he ate 2 units. So that means he ate more on Monday, right? So 3 units minus 2 units equal to 1 unit. Okay, so and we know that 9 more cookies, he ate more. That means 1 unit is equal to 9. So now we need to know how many cookies did Ali buy together. So since we have a total of 12, we have 12 units, which is 9 times 12, which is 108. So the total number of cookies, 108. All right, let's move on to question 13. So question 13, at a shop, one t-shirt and two similar pants cost $180. Three such t-shirts and two such of pants is $320. Find the cost of one pair and pants. Okay, so let's make it simple. One tee plus two pants is equal to $180. And then we have three tee plus two pants is equal to $320. So can you see what we can do? If you minus both, right, in this case, so if we just do this 3t and 2p, in a way, if we minus, right, we will left 2t's, which is basically equal to 320 minus 180 minus $180, which is equal to $140. Mental math. So 1t is equal to $140 divided by 2. This will give us $70. So we need to know how much is one pair of pants. Since we know this over here, one t-shirt plus 2p, so that means two one t-shirt is $70 plus two pair of pants is equal to 180. That means two pants is equal to 180 minus 70, which is 110, right? And then 1p is equal to 110 divided by 2, which is 55. So the answer to this question is $55. All right, let's move on to the next question, question 14. So a square is divided in three parts, A, B, C. The ratio of area A and area B is 8 to 5. The difference between area B and area C is 40 centimeters square. Find the area of the square itself. Okay, so we know we have different parts, and the area A and area B is 8 is to 5. So 8 is to 5 in a way units lah, right? And then we know that the difference between area B and C is area B and C is 40 centimeter. So we minus this and this, we will get 40 centimeter. So do you know something? First is that we know that AB is actually half, right? AB is half of the square. So half of square, let me just put a square, is actually 8 is to 5. So we can just add the units together. 8 plus 5, which is actually 13 units. So that means C is 13 units. Now we also know that there is a difference between B and C. So B over here, B is 5, and we know C is 13. So that means the difference between B, which is 5, and 13. So 13 minus 5 is equal to 40. So 13 minus 5 units lah, right? This will be 8 units equal to 40. 1 unit will be 40 divided by 8, which is equal to 5 in this case. So now you want to find the area of the square, which is basically 26 units, which is 5 times 26, which is equal to 130 centimeters square. So the answer is 130 centimeters square. All right, so this is end of paper 1. Let's move on to question 15. 15. There was an equal number of men and women at the hall at first. Later on, 28 men left the hall and 44 women entered the hall. In the end, there were 3 times as many women as men in the hall. How many women were in the hall first? Okay, so I'm going to do model drawing. So men. Okay, so let's have this, right? And then woman. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to like duplicate this so both have equal number, right? So in this case, okay, now the next thing is that 28 men left, right? So I'm gonna just have this as 28, and then I'm gonna add some dotted as what you see over here lah. 28 left, and then 44 women came in. That's what you see over here. So 44. And lastly, there were 3 times as many women as men. So that means men here is 1 unit. And if we were to just cut here, this is 1 unit. Then 28 over here is 28. then 3 times. So the total for woman is 3 units, right? In this case, 3 units. But that means, if I were to just grab all of this, that means this is 2 units, right? So 2 units is equal to 28, you know, 28 plus 44. And this will give us 72. So 1 unit is equal to 36. So now we need to get the 3 units. So total amount of women, the after is 36 times 3. This will be 108. Okay, so now we need to know how many women. So need to read the question what they're asking, right? How many women were in the hall first? So before this 44. So what we need to do is we need to just minus 44. So 108 minus 44, and this will give us 64. All right, so that's the answer for question 15, 64. Right, let me zoom out, not so much. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 16. The figure below shows the rectangle ABCD measuring 24 centimeters by 18 centimeters. The length of AD is 3 times the length of ED. Sorry, ED, right? So find the shaded area. So the shaded area, if I'm not wrong, is here. This is the shaded area. Okay, so first thing is we know that this is a rectangle from the first statement. Second statement says the length of AD is 3 times of ED. Okay, so that means this is 1 unit, and the total is how many units? 3 units. So what is AE? Right, AE is actually 3 units minus 1 unit, which is 2 units in this case. All right, so now we actually can find the shaded area or the green part over here. First, we need to get this triangle. Then second is we need to get this triangle as well. Okay, so I think we can get this first, right? So let's get the area of BFC. So area of triangle BFC is basically half times, my 2 always, okay, half times 18 times 8, right? So we can minus 18 divided by 2, this will be 9, this will be 1. 9 times 8 will be 72 centimeters square. Okay, so we know this is 72 centimeters square. So now we need to get this second one. Okay, so we already know this height, we need to go get the base. Okay, since we know this total is 3 units, which is 18 centimeter in this case over here, so in a way 18 centimeter is equal to 3 units. 1 unit is equal to 18 divided by 3, which is equal to 6, and then AE over here is actually 2 units. Okay, because if we know this, we can get the area of this triangle, and then we can minus off. So 2 units, whoops, 2 units, 2 units is equal to 6 times 2, which is 12. So now we know that AE is 12 centimeters. Now we need to get ABE. All right, so area of triangle ABE is equal to half times 12 times 24. Okay, so we can just make this into 12, right? So 12 times 12, 144. Okay, so now we know this area as 144 centimeters square. Now we can get the whole rectangle minus the 2 triangles over here to get a shaded area. Okay, so let's get the area of rectangle, which is basically 24 times 18. So 24 times 18, This will give us times 18, 432. So shaded area is equal to 432 minus 144 minus 72, and this will give us 432 minus 144 minus 72, 216. Oops. Right, so centimeter square. So this is 216 centimeter square. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 17. So, Wei Ming read a book over 3 days. He read one fifth of it on Wednesday, five-eighths of remaining pages on Thursday, and the rest on Friday. Okay, and Wei Ming read 57 pages on Friday. How many pages were there in the book? Okay, so first we know that on Wednesday, he read one fifth. On Thursday, thus, he read five-eighths of the remaining pages. So the remaining pages here, it will be 4 over 5, right? How we get 4 over 5 is basically one whole number minus 1 over 5, which is 4 over 5. So this is what we call remaining pages, right? Remaining pages is equal to 4 over 5. But he didn't read 4 over 5. He read 5/8 over 4 over 5. So that means what we need to do is we need to multiply. So 4 over 5 multiply. So let's calculate the Thursday one. 4 over 5 times 5 over 8. Okay. So cancel the 5. We have 4 over 8. We're going to simplify it. He read half the book. Lastly, on Friday, basically the whole book 1 minus 1 over 5 Wednesday, 1 over 5, and half on Thursday. So we need to get the common multiple. So it's basically 10, right? So times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. So 1 minus 2 out of 10 minus 5 out of 10. And this will give us 3 out of 10. So Friday he read 3 out of 10 of the book. And we also know how many pages, which is 57. So 3 uh, out of 10 of the book is 57, right? Or you could say 3 units, let's go to 57, right? Pages. Then 1 unit is equal to 57. There shouldn't be an arrow. 57 divided by 3. This will give us 19. And then 10 units will be 19 times 10, which is 190. All right. So the answer is the total is 190 pages. Okay, let's move on to question 18. Question 18. Mr. Lee had some money. He could either buy exactly 27 apples or 36 pears with his money. He had already bought 5 apples and 8 pears. How many more apples could Mr. Lee buy with the remaining? Okay, so in essence, let's say apples, let's have A equal to apples and P equal to pears. So means that his money could buy either 27 apples and 36 pears, right? So this is equivalent. All right. So thing is that he already bought, this is in essence like equal, right? So we can actually divide. So what we want to get is we want to get 8 at pairs. Okay. So if we can convert 36 pairs to 8 pairs, then we can convert 27 apples to something else. Then we can know how much apples Mr. Lee can buy more of, right? So right now, 36 pairs. So 36, what is the multiple? 2 times 18, 3 times uh what you call this 12 4 times 9. If this is 4 times 9, we can actually have 8. No, we can't have 8. Actually, we can, right? So basically, if it goes 4, that means we divide this by 9. So 36 divided by 9, 27 divided by 9. This will be 3 apples equal to 4 pears. So we times 2, this will give us 8 pears. And this will give us 6 apples, right? So thing is that why we are getting 8 pears is because right now, Mr. Lee bought 5 apples plus 8 pears. And the thing is that he also have the same amount of money as 27 apples. So if we were to be able to convert the 8 apples to 6, 8 pears to 6 apples, then we know how much. So in a way, you can think of it as Mr. Lee has 27 Apple dollars, right? And now he bought 5 Apple dollars and 8 pear dollars. So how much can he, in a way, buy more of, right? So with 8 pairs, this is not dollars, but okay. So Mr. Lee has like 27. He could buy 27. So if we swap 8 pairs to 6 apples, this will become 5 apples plus 6 apples, which is 11 apples, right? And he could buy 27. So that means 27 apples minus 11 apples, which is basically 16. So he could actually buy 16 more apples in this case. All right, let's move on to the last question. All right, question 19. Cindy spends 1/7 of her money and an additional $8 on a bag. She spent 1/4 of her remaining money and an additional $5 on a wallet. She had left $43. How much money did Cindy spend on the bag and wallet together? Right. So let's do something, I call it branching. So Cindy, she spent for bag, right? So this is a bag. The bag itself is 1/7 of her money, right? So I'm gonna make this 1/7, an additional $8 of her this one. Okay, so this is for the bag. Okay, all right. So 1/7 of her money plus $8 to buy a bag. Then after that, if I go here, the remaining money, so I'll put here remaining, right? She spends 1/4 of her remaining. So that's why I put here remaining, right? 1/4 of her remaining money and additional plus dollars 5 on a wallet. And then also, yeah, on a wallet. And then she left with dollars 43. Okay. So how much money did Cindy spend on her bag? Okay. So in this case, we know that the remaining money is this, right? 1/4 plus $5 and wallet as well. And the remaining money she have left is 43. So in essence, right, if remaining money is like one whole number, okay, one whole, right? So 1/4 in this case over here, basically, if this is a whole, then the fraction will be 1/4 plus 5 is the wallet itself, right? Dollars 5 lah. Okay, wallet. Okay, and then the remaining money, if you were to minus one whole, it will be 3/4. And then we also have minus $5 as well. And this will be the remainder, right? Remainder itself. Okay. So why is because we have 1 minus 3/4 in this case. 1 minus 3/4 and then plus dollars 5 minus $5. Okay, this is the remainder. Okay, so any additional we just want to remove so that we can actually get the remainder. And we know the remainder $43. The remainder is $43 over here, right? And then this will be 3 out of 4 minus $5. Okay, then if we were to have 3 over 4 of the remainder, which is equal to, so if we, this will be $48, right? So if you want to get the whole remainder, the total remainder, we basically need to divide this by 3 out of 4, right? To get a whole, right? So if we have 3 out of 4 divided by 3 out of 4, this will be 3 out of 4 times. So we flip, right? 4 out of 3, this will give us one whole. Okay, so we want to get the one remainder. So we divided by 3. So $48 divided by, so we also divide this by 3 out of 4. So 3 out of 4. Okay. So $48 times 4 over 3. Okay. Then 48 divided by 3 is 16. 16 times 4 is $64. So we know the remainder itself here, or the remaining here, is $64. Right. So now we do the same. So we know that, okay, let me move this up over here. 64, whoops. $64. All right. Then same thing is that we know that the bag is 1 over 7 plus $8. What's the remaining? Which is 1 whole minus 1 over 7 plus we minus the $8. So we don't need plus, we just minus $8. This will become 6 over 7 minus $8. And we know the remaining itself is $64. So this is $64, right? So 6 over 7 is equal to 64 plus 8. This will give you $72. So we want to know total Cindy, right? So Cindy itself, or 7 units. Okay, so we know 6 over 7 is $72. What is 1 over 7? Okay, so 1 over 7 is because you need to go know the bag here. Okay, so 6 over 7 is essentially saying 6 units equal to $72. So essentially it's 72 divided by 6. This will give you $12. So now we know that the bag itself is $12 plus 8. So bag is equal to $12 plus 8, and this gives us $20. Okay, so now we know this is $20 in this case. So the next thing is that we want to get the wallet. So the wallet we already can get because it's basically wallet is, the remaining is $64 times 1.4 plus in this case $5, right? So we're gonna put $5. So 64 divided by 4 will be 18, no, 64 divided by 32, $16 plus 5. This will be $21. So the total will be $20 plus $21, which is $41. Okay, so the answer here is $41.